ladies and gentlemen, if you're gathering your equipment, we need a heavy-ish set of dumbbells. Again, we're looking for 10 reps today, so that's what we're kind of looking for, a goal range of weight. I've got a heavy kettlebell, which we're going to use for some deadlifts. It could be a heavy dumbbell as well. You could do kettlebell swings today. I will talk about that in a minute. I've got a light set of dumbbells for some overhead pressing. As long as your shoulders are all right with that. I have a light kettlebell as well, just because it was on the cart, I guess. I don't really need it. And you won't either. So a possible heavy set of dumbbells for rows. You could possibly use that same weight for your deadlift, or if you want to go heavier, that's not a bad idea. Deadlift is one of our strongest ranges of motion for exercise, so don't be scared to push it a little bit. We're looking for 10 reps though. And it's 8, so we are rolling. We're going to start off with a simple squat. Again, we're going to stay nice and tall, looking to stay straight up and down. We're going to slide those hips back and then drive through the floor, pushing those knees apart, keeping the knees over top of the ankles, not letting the knees fall together. Track of that heart rate today, see what's up. Maybe 2 more squats. We are going to be doing some side lunging today, so we can take those legs nice and wide, and we can slide to the side, push back to tall, slide to the other side. Just getting warm through that range of motion. I'll slide back, you can see my feet in a second. We're going to slide to the side, getting that hip back, shoulder, hip, and knee all end up over top of that foot, before we slide to the other side. Show you again from the front. We're going to back up just a little bit. And side number 1, and up, driving those hips forward. Side number 2. We might fall forward again to counterbalance all that weight going back. The weight being our bump. Leaving the legs straight. Stretching the inside of that leg. We can hold for a little longer. Once again, the big thing we're going to do today to drive some stimulus in those muscles is we're going to do nice and slow contractions, and we're going to hold at certain points in the lift. And we're going to stand up nice and tall. I like to warm up the hamstrings exclusively. Very tight hamstrings, so we're just going to do a bum kicker, sliding back and forth. And then up nice and tall, fall forward, touch those toes. Try and keep that back as straight as possible. Keep those legs as straight as possible. You can shift our weight a little bit. Don't make sure you don't come too far forward. Nice and slow. You're gonna reach up again. Let's make those feet just a little bit wider. Reaching up, coming down slow. Should feel like we're getting warmer here. One more time, reaching up, and then coming back down. Finish off with a little leg lift. We're going to stand nice and tall, lifting up to this A position, a little balance here, and then we're going to drive through that glute at the back with a straight leg. We don't want to let our spine compromise, so we want to stay tight through our tummy, so our hips don't change. So like on Tuesday, if you were here, we're going to do a 2 exercise superset, meaning that we are looking for 10 reps in exercise number 1. And we're going to shift gears to exercise number 2. Our first set, or set A, is going to be fairly heavy. We're going to do a deadlift or a kettlebell swing. I'll show you both. If you haven't done kettlebell swings in person before, you might not want to do kettlebell swings. You might want to stick to a deadlift because we want to stay controlled and keep that back straight. So demonstration for our first 2 exercises. We're going to grab our heavy weight from the side, Just sliding those hips back, keeping the kettlebell or the dumbbell between the feet. The shoulder blades are back and they stay back. We're not reaching for the floor here. We're trying to keep that back straight the whole time. There's our deadlift or kettlebell swing, same position, just driving through with the hips, popping a little bit. And you can switch it up if you want. So we're going to start off 10 reps of that heavy weight for a deadlift or a kettlebell swing. We're going to go nice and slow. With the kettlebell swings, we don't want to swing too fast. There won't be any pausing with the kettlebell swings though. With the deadlift, we're going to slide those hips back, hold, and release, pushing back up. That release is actually a squeeze of the hamstrings and the glutes to come back up. We're heading down, hips come back behind our feet. We squeeze our glutes and our hamstrings to come back up. Chest is tall. Those shoulder blades don't change. We find that pinch in the back and we hold that position. We're always talking about posture. It's so important when we're exercising. Completely lost count. Just a couple more. Again, we're looking for 10 and we're looking for that long hold at the bottom. Once you're ready for number 2, we're going to grab our heavy weight. Lots of lower back work today. We're going to slide those hips back, get ourselves into a bent over position and pull and squeeze and release slowly. Pull, squeeze the shoulder blades, push those elbows down by your hips. Don't pull your shoulders up by your ears, and then release. Pull, squeeze, slow release. We're trying to get our back as close to parallel with the floor as possible. So those shoulders should almost be at hip level. And again, flat back. We want that chest lifted. We do not want to round back. We're going to keep going to 10 there. I lost count. Again, we want that nice flat back. I keep saying that, but it's so important to get that position and hold that here. We don't want to let ourselves curl up here. That is a recipe for injury that we want to avoid. Once you're done each exercise for 10 reps, you grab a quick hit of water and we go again. Apologize, you probably can all hear me drinking. Back to that heavy deadlift. Hips back, hold at the bottom. Drive the whole foot through the floor to come back up, not just the toes. We want to feel the heel grounded as well as the ball of the foot. Pushing through that whole foot, making sure the inside and the outside of the foot is nailed down. We don't want to be heavy on the inside or the outside. Maintaining that posture. Shoulder blades are back and down. We're not reaching out with the weight. In fact, we're tucking it in, keeping it close to our body. Hopefully you can see the weight tight to my body from the front. Seeing this. Those shoulders are what I'm talking about here. We don't want to let that go. We want to keep them tucked in. All the way to 10. And squeeze. Nice and slow. Time under tension. The big thing we are looking for. That's exercise number 1. Let's go to our heavy rows. Exercise number 2. Those feet can be wide or narrow, depending on how you like to stand. Whatever's going to get those hips back is what we want. And a squeeze, slow release. Pull, squeeze, release for 2. That's the tempo we're looking for. Like I said, I won't count all your reps, but give you a good idea of the tempo we are looking for. Hold is tough. Should feel those back squeezing. I'm going to cheat again. I'm pretty sure I did not do 10 just to keep up. Big squeeze. We want to bring those shoulder blades together at the back. And again, elbow down by the hip, not up by the head with the shoulder. We want to relax those shoulders. We don't want to be in this position. We want to be pulling from a nice strong position. Once again, quick hit of water. Very little rest, getting that heart rate up. I threw on a heart rate monitor just to see today. Back to those deadlifts. Shoulder blades back and down. Slide to the bottom slowly. 1, 2, and up. The thing you're gonna find when we do slow reps like this, we're gonna fatigue a lot of muscles, a lot of those little muscles that stabilize. We've got to keep our head in the exercise, mind on what we're doing, not losing our posture, feeling that heart rate go up because we're taking so long for all 10 reps. Squeeze. Good job. On the way to 10 again. We're in the middle of 3. Grabbing those big dumbbells one last time. We're moving a little quicker than we were last on Tuesday. And pull and squeeze and release. Again, if you're not making it to 10 because we picked too heavy a weight, put my hand up right now if I could. That's okay. We don't need to hit 10 reps. As many as you can. Solid form is the most important thing. Oh, anybody else's shoulder blades burning? That squeeze at the top really hits those rhomboids. I don't know what I hit. I am feeling the burn though. Okay, so we want to make sure we're looking for 3 sets of 10. Once again, if your ego got the best of you and you grab too big a weight, that's okay. Quick drink of water, and we're going to switch to set number 2. So we'll label this set B. B1 is going to be a side lunge. We're going to grab a little bit of weight. 2 options here. We can hold a weight in goblet style, which I'm going to do, or you could have 2 weights down here by the side. When we take a step in the side lunge, we want one hand on each side of the knee, like a bookend. The hips goes back, and we keep the weight back. Back is straight, head falls forward because of all the weight going back. We're here and back up. A little more challenge with the goblet squat position. So we hold it in a goblet position, elbows tucked into the sides, shoulder blades are back and down, keep that posture. Sliding to the side, shift the weight back, and push off that leg we're coming onto. We're gonna do all 10 reps. On side number 1, before we hit side number 2, hold at the bottom. Our leg that we're coming off of stays straight. So my left, your right, straight leg here, and push. Sliding those hips back, coming through. Really good one to get that heart rate up. Find you breathing heavy, that's a good thing. Hold, push. Doesn't have to be fast, nice and slow. Think like a metronome. Very, very slow. I lost count. So side number 2. Shoulders, hips, knee, ankle, all over top of that bottom foot with the hip pushed back, and we come back up. We want a wide step, but we do want to make sure all those joints line up over top of that foot. We don't want to turn our toe out, so you're noticing my foot is parallel if you're watching on the screen. Feet stay parallel. And we push to the side, hold, and back up. Push. Looking for 10 here as well. And push. And we're looking for 10 there as well. This next one, we're gonna grab our light dumbbells for an overhead press. We're looking for a tall kneeling position. I'll try and show you guys both ways. Tall kneeling is, we're on both knees. We've got those hips driven through here. We're nice and tall, and we're gonna push overhead. We're gonna use both dumbbells. Show you from the front. 2 knees down, about hip width apart. If you're using the mat, you might wanna double it up. If you're using a hard 4, hips are through still. Find that position and push. 1, 2, 3 to the bottom. Push. We don't need to drop that weight all the way. We don't need to see the weight down by the shoulders. Once those elbows get as low as the shoulders, we're good. Now hold, push, down, hold, elbows as high as the shoulders, push. Slow on the way down. Hold at the bottom and back up. Remember, we want those elbows as high as the shoulders. Have a look. Look for about 90 degrees. If you've got a mirror in your workout space, it's a good idea. 37, 38. I've lost count. All right, so those are our 2 exercises. The most important thing when we're in this tall kneeling position, you guys can pop up, grab some water, keeping those hips here. We don't want to sit back in this position. Trying to activate those glutes in both positions. So we're going to hit those glutes and we do our side lunge. We're looking for that on our tall position as well. So let's keep going. Grab those weights once again. I'm going to grab dumbbells this time to show you guys. From the side, everything slides back. We push forward. Those toes stay light. Oftentimes we see people want to drive into those toes. If your toes are gripping the floor to keep you up, push the weight back further. You don't want to go back so far you fall on your bum, but we want to stay out of those toes as well. If those toes are gripping the floor, you're not in a good space. You want to push those hips back. Show you from the side. We'll get a couple more in here. Slide, hold, push. We'll head to the other side again. And with those dumbbells, one on each side of the knee, and push. They go to the hips, to the knee, back to the hips. The reason those dumbbells can slide is because I slide my hips back. My chest falls forward a bit. We're trying to counterbalance. Most of us have a lot of weight in our bum. Just the way we're built, we should. Nice big muscle group. Should have a big bum. And push. Rear end driven animals. Push. Hold. And to the top. All right. Maybe one more. Looking for 10 here. And that's the middle of number 2. Find our tall kneeling position once again. You can do this from a standing position as well, especially if you got a little lower back issue. We might want to stand. This is a less stable position than standing up, and it forces us to stabilize with our hips. So, good place to be for a little bit of work. Push and hold for 2, 3. Tummy's tight and pulling that belly button in. We don't want our rib cage to flip up. That's one thing I haven't talked about yet. From the side, I'm gonna get rid of one weight. We want to make sure we're not flipping that rib cage up. Activate those abs so it hangs onto the bottom of that rib cage so weight can't flip back, and push here. We have a tendency to turn shoulder press into bench press because it's an easier movement, and we want to use our chest. So instead of using that nice tall vertical press where we are super tall pushing, we tend to fall back and try and make it bench press. It's tougher to do that in this position, which is part of the reason why we use it. Or another reason is because trying to activate those hips, get a little more work done to add more muscle groups to the movement. That's the end of 2. Quick sip of water. We're trying to keep that heart rate up. At least a little bit. 17 minutes in here. Gotta keep track of the time. Looks like we're gonna end right at 8:30 today again. Let's see what happens there. Hold and push. Slide to the side, shoulder, hip, knee. Of course, the ankle is gonna be over top of that foot. Every other joint should be too. Unless you've got some special ankles, they are not going anywhere. And push. This is another example where we want equal pressure on the inside and the outside of that foot. Some people like to get heavy on the inside of the foot. Some people like to get heavy on the outside of the foot. We want pressure on both sides so we have an equal platform. Something called a tripod foot. Our heel is planted, and then the inside and the outside of the ball of the foot. So that's where your toes meet your feet. That bouncy part where you skip on. Anybody skipping these days? You know, that's the ball of your foot. And we want and lateral, medial and lateral pressure on the inside. I'm just trying to impress everybody with my anatomical terms here. Inside and outside with the heel. Nice and tall, shoulder blades back and down. Pushed. Should help elevate our heart rate a little bit. I'm just looking at my heart rate monitor and trying to guess. Probably 65 to 70% heart rate. I was told there'd be no math, so don't quote me on that. To 10 on both sides here, and then we're done that set. We have got 11 minutes to go. That's awesome. Okay, we're gonna do two sets of a secret set just because we have the time. I guess we should probably stretch today. We didn't get a chance to do that the other day. We're gonna grab a weight and we're gonna combine so you're gonna grab a light weight here. Probably a dumbbell, it could be a kettlebell. We're gonna combine our heel drops we did on Tuesday with a straight arm row. So what that means is we're gonna drop a leg and drop the weight at the same time. This is the advanced version, so I'm giving it to you guys backwards here. This is the hardest. Keeping that lower back glute down, activating the lats a little bit, not resting the weight on the floor. Option number 2 is to go with the bent leg and drop that weight. Option number 3 is just the weight with the lower back down. That'll hit your abs as well. We're trying to stay stable here. Or we can have those feet resting on the floor. Working hard to keep that lower back down. This is a tough range of motion, so make sure you got your light dumbbell or kettlebell. Trying to keep those arms straight. We're looking for 10 again. And again, the full version is here. Together. If you find this easy, we can go 2 legs. This is the toughest version. If you've got some ankle weights, you throw those on. Really, who's Superman though? That's option number 1. Sorry, exercise number 1. Exercise number 2, we're gonna flip over for a little bit of bird dog. Bird dog, we're on all fours, wrists are below the knees, wrists are below the shoulders, knees are below the hips. Got all the joints there, just wrong order. We're gonna reach out, we wanna be super stiff here. We're driving that heel back on the opposite foot. So right hand, left foot, super strong, like someone's gonna try and push you down. Switch sides. This is about stability, so we wanna be stable. So if you had someone there to check how stable you are, that's where we want to be. We want to be tight. Tight through that shoulder, tight through the hip. Driving the heel back. This is 3. Pushing through, trying to be stable. Now the big goal here, once you find this, you say, hey, this is easy. Try not to let the hips move. What happens is we want to hike up the hip on the floating side. So I've got my right foot up now, side closest to you. What we want to do sometimes is change that hip to help ourselves out. We don't want to let that happen though. That's how we get out of the movement. So belly button pulled in tight. Long arm like we're reaching for the wall ahead of us, reaching for the wall behind us with our heel. Should feel a glute squeeze there. It's a great glute exercise. Just squeezing, getting long, looking for 10 here. Say 10 total instead of 10 on each side. And those are 2 exercises for superset number 3. So when you're ready, back on your back with your light implement. Probably a dumbbell, could be a kettlebell. We're looking for 10. The hold this time is at the bottom. So we're doing a straight arm row. So for me lying on the ground, weight is here. We're dropping it here. Don't let the weight set on the floor. We want to hold it up and stay long there. Nice and flat. I think we're at 24 minutes here. So we'll get 2 sets of this in. I see why Dwayne wears a bandana all the time. Press that head. Lots of times we see people lift the head making extra work. We're not worried about your neck strength at the moment. We're looking for those lats and those abs. Main point there is those abs, or sorry, the lats, not the abs. You're getting a little bit of ab work there if you can. And we're back onto all fours. Wrists below the shoulders, knees below the hips. We want to hold this position. We don't want to get those hips back by the heels, and we don't want to stretch out into a push-up position either. We want to hold that tabletop position. I think that's what they call it in yoga, tabletop. Use this position in a lot of places, and reach. Don't shift that weight. Again, side to side as well. Something else to look at. I don't know if everybody can see my hips or not, but we don't want to have to shift when we lift. Oops. Wrong hand. Want to keep that weight centered. So here's your straight on view. Hand just the size of the shoulder, heel just the size of the shoulder. We don't need to lift that foot up in a big way. I'll show you from the side. We don't need to see this. We're not trying to change our hips. We're trying to make this tight, which keeps that lower back flat. And then we reach, hold, release. Other side, still looking for that hold and release. 25 minutes if you're counting. Last time we'll do this set as well. Hopefully you guys get a chance to get a little bit of mobility in your daily workout practice. If not now, before bed is a good time to do a little stretch. Put it into your sleep routine. If you guys ever want any details on that, you can email us. wellness@saspolytech.ca. As we know, sleep is so important for recovery. We want to make that sleep schedule and that sleep as high quality as possible. Sometimes a little stretch after helps. So we're going to find our way to our hips, or our bum. Sitting up nice and tall. Get a little stretch in. If you have the time, you can do a third set of that last one we did. If you're pushed for time, we're going to take those feet as wide apart as possible. We're going to get up as tall as possible, depending on your flexibility. You might get a decent little stretch here. You've got some tight hamstrings like myself. A little bit of stretch happening here. If not, let's push that chest up and out. So for me, I'm actually pushing my chest towards the camera, towards you guys, to stay tall as I fall forward. So from the side, what you see is this attempt to be as tall as possible. Daily lives. And need to fight back. Shoulder blades back and down, chest lifted. And fix that posture. Posture plays such a big part in our health as well. That's why we're always pushing it. And we can slide to one side. So I'm reaching for the toes on one side, trying to stay nice and tall still, chest lifted ahead of me. I'm going to slide to the other side. Keeping those hamstrings supple is good. Morning. I'll be 2 minutes. No problem. Couple drop-ins. 27 minutes if we keep track. And we want to hold those stretches for a minimum of a minute. Maybe not at the moment. We are usually on a time crunch in the morning, so that's understandable. But like I said, if you get a chance later on in the day to get another stretch, let's hold those stretches for at least a minute. Next stretch, we're going to take a lunge position. We're going to come up nice and tall. I've doubled up my mat. I do not like the hard floors on the knees, so I use as much mat as possible. Trying to get the hips over top of that bottom knee. I've tucked this toe under at the back so I can push on the floor. I'm not resting my laces on the floor. Let's be active in our stretch. Tummy tight here, lifting those hip bones up towards my face. Chest is tall. We're going to push those hips forward. And then let's take that front foot. Let's step forward a little bit. Slide that foot forward and really push into those hips. So we're trying to drive our hip bone here towards the front heel. So my right foot is forward. I'm trying to drive my right hip towards my right heel. And that's going to give me a huge stretch in those hip flexors. Because I'm so tight, I get it in my groin and my hamstrings. I think we got about 1 more minute before the Zoom kicks us out. We're gonna do the other side. Same thing. I'll show you first off. We're nice and tall here. Thanks for coming this morning, guys. If you ever have any feedback for me or Dwayne, again, you can hit us up online. You know how to find us here, so you can probably find us online. We're gonna hold this for a minute and then you're gonna stretch out, and we're gonna probably miss that at some point. Thanks for coming, guys. Again, any feedback is welcome. Hope you guys enjoy your day. We're gonna get kicked out at some point, so take that long stretch. And we'll see what happens in the next few seconds here. It worked. We're still here. Good job, guys. If you have any feedback, if you want to stick around to yell at me through the computer, you can do that too. Otherwise, have a good day.